Who davened last, the Shabbos Mincha? It was.
You did.
I did. And who was supposed to be davening? Do you remember 2 weeks ago?
I think I did 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So as soon and if we get, hello, Randy.
Right, thank you.
Randy Glassman.
No, maybe so.
Okay. Good Shabbos, my dear. How are you?
Oh, wait, I won't be able to see. Okay. Oh,
Can't hear a thing. Randy, unmute.
Thought I was already on mute. Sorry.
Nah, you can always be louder.
I went raspberry picking with my grandkids today.
And did you get scratched or are you
Had a
itching
lot
it
of
up?
fun getting raspberries.
No.
They had a lot of fun. Down in the neighborhood, they have raspberry bushes.
Were they nice and fresh?
Yes, nice and big red ones.
Did you see any elephants hiding in the bushes?
Elephants for raspberries?
Yes. They hide, the reason you don't see them is they hide very well.
Yeah, not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Okay.
Maybe another.
Sandy Bieber, you're in and you're on. So let's turn to page 558. And we can start the Ashrei because it is time, as Jerry would say. Sandy, are you totally, you're not submished, right? You're good.
I can't start the Ashrei.
Okay. So, we'll have Randy Glassman start the Ashrei. Ashrei, V'itlecha. Go ahead. Hashem v'kachalo, Hashem shadonai Elohav. V'chol yamav v'cheka, v'ala shimcha le'olam ba'ed. לא לדור שבח מעשיך, גבורותיך יגידו. וזיזנותיך יאמרו, גדולתך ספרנה. ענון ורחם אדוני, אל כפיים וגדול חסד. ודורנך מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך. להודיע ולעלם גבורתה, וכבוד אדם מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
לך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזכר לכל הכפופים.
עיניך אליך יסדרו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעתו.
פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
הרב אדוני לכל קורא, וכל אשר קראו באמת.
רצון יראה יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע וירשיעם.
מאדוני כל אהבה, ואת כל השעים ישמיד.
תהיה לאדוני ידבר פיו, ברך בצר שם קודשו לעולם ועד.
אנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם, הללויה. Sandy, you're ready to continue, please? We're at the bottom of page 560.
Uva Litzion, go El Shavei Fesha B'Yaakov, Numarin.
Senor Shmacha Kosh Gadol. תהיית אלוהים דפנה, כלמת ליעקב חסד לאברהם שנשבעת, תנקדה. הימים וסלנה שדן סלנה תלמה לגלנה יקב סלה.
Rachum Yechaper Bala, Shkid, Veher Bala, Shiva Po, Vayer Kochamato, Kiatarani to the Salah. ויפתחו בך ידי שמך, כי לא עזבת דורשך אדוני, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה ויאדיר.
The bottom of 564, we rise, Chatzi Kaddish.
ויקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
יום דברי חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון, חיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב, אמרו אמן.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך,
לעולם ועד. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקדושה ברכו. לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירם ביומה ואמרו אמן.
We continue on page 566, and let's sing together Ki Mitzion. Sandy, please lead us.
כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
As we know, the Torah reading is different. We still read the Torah, but we do not have the usual and regular aliyot. And if we were reading, we'd ask Ruth to come up with the family and have a aliyah, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And let's together recite the bracha that's recommended. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Okay, the Torah reading is chapter 30 and the book of Numbers. We are at the end of the Sefer, and we read chapter 30, verse 2. Ruth Ann.
וידבר משה ראשי המטות לפני ישראל לאמור, זה הדבר אשר ציווה אדוני, איש כל ידור נדר לאדוני, לא אישה בשבועה, לסור יצר על נפשו, לא יאכל דברו, ככל היוצא מפיו יעשה, ואישה כי תדור נדר לאדוני, ויסרה יצהר בבית אביה בנעוריה, ושמע אביה את נדרה, ואת שרה אשר אסרה על נפשה, והחריש לה אביה, וקמו כל נדריה, וכל יצהר אשר אסרה על נפשה יקום, ואם הניחה אביה אותה ביום שמעו כל נדריה, ושריה אשר אסרה על נפשה לא יקום, ואדוני יסלח לה, כי הני אביה אותה, ואם היה תהיה לאיש נדריה עליה, מבטח שפתיה אשר אסרה על נפשה, Bishama Isha Biam Shama Beheri Hishla Bekamunidareha Besareha Asher Asra al Nafsha Yakumu Biam Shemewa Isha Yani Ota Behefer Ednidra Asher Aleha Be'ed Miptaha Sifateha Asher Asra al Nafsha Adonai Yislach Laha.
Beautiful, beautiful. Jeffrey is going to read the English translation of this, but very briefly, it's very legal. Basically, when we come together on Kol Nidre, this is what this is about. The assumption is that if you make a promise or if you swear that you will do or not do a certain thing, this piece of the Torah tells us, please be sure to be faithful to what you say. And so you find in the Orthodox community the expression bli neder, bli neder, bli neder. And the sad thing about this is the lower place of women in the status. If a woman makes a vow that she's not going to come to her mother-in-law's house anymore, her husband or her father can undo her vow that she makes. And I certainly hope that that has changed. But in the meantime, this is the biblical setting for what we are reading about in this text. And Jeffrey, please be kind enough to read for us the English translation.
Moses spoke to the heads of the Israelite tribes, saying, "This is what the Lord has commanded. If a man makes a vow to the Lord or takes an oath imposing an obligation upon himself, he shall not break his pledge. He must carry out all that has crossed his lips. If a woman makes a vow to the Lord or assumes an obligation while still in her father's household by reason of her youth, and her father learns of her vow or her self-imposed obligation and offers no objection, all her vows shall stand, and every self-imposed obligation shall stand. But if her father restrains her on the day he finds out, none of her vows or self-imposed obligations shall stand, and the Lord will forgive her, since her father restrained her. If she should marry while her vow or the commitment to which she bound herself is still in force, and her husband learns of it and offers no objection on the day he finds out, her vow shall stand and her self-imposed obligation shall stand. But if her husband restrains her on the day he learns of it, he thereby annuls her vow which was in force, or the commitment to which she bound herself, and the Lord will forgive her."
Okay. Ruth is observing a 10th Yortzeit for her father of blessed memory. Ruth, would you tell us a little bit about your father? You have to unmute yourself first. Good. Unmute, please. You're still muted. There's a little red button that is on your, there you go. Excellent.
I have my chief helper, Harry, do it.
Okay.
My father was a wonderful father. He was, he had a deep faith in Judaism and saw it as, he didn't go to services as much. He usually saw patients Saturday morning and would meet us for the Oneg Shabbat because we went to services every weekend. My mother, my brother, and I. But Saturday was our day with him. When he would meet us at Oneg Shabbat, and then he'd spend the rest of the day. And my mother had the day off. But my brother and I loved Shabbat because we got to spend the whole day with my dad. He was heaven on earth, and he is in my mind all the time. I feel him with me. I see him in my children, and I try to be the type of parent he was, which was loving his children unconditionally. I think it's a gift that he gave me for somebody on this earth to think you're just wonderful. I mean, I could see it in his eyes every time he saw me. And I try very hard, and I think I do give the same to my sons. And I think it's important to carry on that gift. Of note, We are usually up at Camp Airy for his yurt site. We have for many years. My father went there for one summer, and he talked about it the rest of his life. It was, they sent, these poor Jewish kids from down near Lombard Street, and he came on the train. And every year when we're there, it's extra special for me. Of course, my sons go there, and then I work there, and Harry's there, because a piece of him is there. I mean, yes, some parts of it have changed, but when I go up and down the hills, because the dining hall has always been uphill and downhill was where their bunks were, I look out and I know that he saw the same thing. Maybe he saw it a little different, but he stood right there. And a piece of him lives there. And it's always been sweet. Sadly, this year, the first time in 97 years, they haven't had Camp Airy this summer. It was canceled.
Wow.
But of course, really, he lives in my whole family, my sons, and they get to be with me, which is often not the case. That's about
Great.
it.
Wow, beautiful. There's so many things I wanted to ask. Just quick question. Did you know your grandparents?
No, my grandparents, well, my grandmother, my father's mother, I knew a little bit. She was pretty, she was old by the time I was born. My dad was 39, but I'm number 4 out of 4 kids.
Wow.
So I knew her a little bit.
Right.
Father Max, who he was very close with, and but I never met him.
Right.
And
That's beautiful.
but I met a lot of relatives, and his brother had given me tapes, and we turned them into CDs of like family circus
how
and
beautiful.
camp. They would go meet at like one of the parks. So it has no sound. It's black and white, but I can see pictures of my
Of
grandparents.
course. How wonderful. How wonderful. Harry, a word from you, sir?
Well, he was a great father-in-law and a great grandfather to our children. He was a devoted medicine. He was a devoted doctor. He was a chief resident during his residency at Sinai, which is a prestigious position. He was always dedicated. He became a psychiatrist mid-career, but always an internist at heart. And even in his last days, he was asking me to save the journals that came to my house because he wanted to keep up with the continuing medical education credits.
Oh, how precious. How precious. Okay. Ruth, would you tell me Dad's Hebrew name and his parents' Hebrew name, please?
Well, Max and Fanny. were
Is
parents.
Max Mordechai, do you know?
Yeah, I think so, because that's the Hebrew name.
Okay. And his father?
That's my father's father.
Right, that's Max. And what's your father's
My
Hebrew name?
father's Shmuel. Samuel.
Shmuel. And do you remember his mother's name?
She was called Fanny.
Fanny is good. Fanny is a beautiful name. All right. Well, here is a prayer that affirms everything you said. Beautiful words. מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, אמצעי מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר רקיע מזהירים, את נשמת שמואל בן מרדכי ופני, שהלך לעולמו, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו. אנא ברחמים, הסתירהו בסתר כנפיך, לעולם ימצוא בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו. וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. Thank you so much, Ruth. That was beautiful. Randy, do you think you can do the second reading or?
Yeah, talking to me or Gordon? Okay, what do you,
right.
from 10 to what?
Number 10 to 14. So 10, 11, 12, 13.
Okay. All right. Beneder almana ugrusha Kol asher asra al nafsha yakum aleha ve'im beit isha nadara al asra isar al nafsha vishvu'ah v'shama isha v'hecherish la lo heini ota v'kamu konadareha v'chol isa asher asra al nafsha yakum ve'im hafer yafer otam isha b'yem sham o kol mota sifateha lindareha o isar nafsha lo yakum isha hafe ram ladonai yislachha.
Beautiful, beautiful, really, just wonderful. Jeffrey, please read the translation.
The vow of a widow or of a divorced woman, however, the vow of a widow or a divorced woman, however, whatever she has imposed on herself shall be binding upon her. So too, if while in her husband's household she makes a vow or imposes an obligation on herself by oath, and her husband learns of it yet offers no objection, thus failing to restrain her, all her vows shall stand and all her self-imposed obligations shall stand. But if her husband does annul them on the day he finds out, then nothing that has crossed her lips shall stand, whether vows or self-imposed obligations. Her husband has annulled them, and the Lord will forgive her.
Pretty clear that a woman is, well, second class here. If she makes a vow, her husband can annul them without regard to the wishes of the woman, which I personally find very objectionable. And I'm sure a good rabbi would find a way to bring a little justice and fairness to this. A quick question, David Rothenberg, can you hear me? You have to unmute yourself.
I hear you. Yep.
Okay, do you have your side today?
Yep, I do.
Okay, who for?
For my mother.
Okay, share with us a lesson that you learned from your mother.
Hang on. Let me fix my camera here.
We see you nicely, clearly.
Okay. Just want to make sure. She died in 2000.
Wow.
Yeah. How are you, Moshe? Good to see you.
And wonderful to see you. You look as handsome as ever. Tell me one thing that you learned from her.
She was, did not have formal Jewish education. She learned it by osmosis over the years from all of us, Hebrew and all that stuff. So, no, sometimes, it was exciting when we found out that she was surreptitiously working with an Aleph Bet book. We sort of found her out one day, unbeknownst to my brother and I. So we got really excited when we saw her doing that.
Oh, how wonderful. What a beautiful story. What a beautiful story. What is mom's Hebrew name, please?
Devorah Leah Bat Avraham V'Sara.
המלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, אמצי מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות, קדושים וטהרים, כזוהר הקיא המזהירים, את נשמת דבורה לאה בת אברהם ושרה, שהלכה לעולמה, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה. אבל הרחמים הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמי הימוצו, בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום במשכבה ונאמר Amen. David, what's mom's English name, please?
Dorothy, Dorothy,
Right? Last name?
Rothenberg.
Rothenberg. Okay. I want to make sure it's for tonight and tomorrow or last night and today.
Tonight and tomorrow.
Okay. We'll make sure to call that out. Okay. Sandy, would you be kind enough to read for us the last Torah portion?
Kol neder v'chol shavuot yisar le'anot nafesh. Isha yekimenu v'isha yeferenu v'im hacharesh yacharish la isha miyom el yom v'hekim et kol nedareha o et kol esareha asher aleha hekim otam ki hecharish la b'yom sham'o v'im hafer yafer otam acharei sham'o v'nasa et avona ele hachukim asher tziva Adonai et Moshe ben ish leishto ben av levito ben ureha beit aviha.
Beautiful, beautiful. Jeffrey, please read for us.
Every vow and every sworn obligation of self-denial may be upheld by her husband or annulled by her husband. If her husband offers no objection from that day to the next, he has upheld all the vows or obligations she has assumed. He has upheld them by offering no objection on the day he found out. But if he annuls them after the day he finds out, he shall bear his guilt, her guilt. Those are the laws that the Lord enjoined upon Moses between a man and his wife, and as between a father and his daughter while in her father's household, by reason of her youth.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey, and that's pretty clear. Anybody else has your side today or tomorrow? Okay. We now conclude the Torah service by chanting Eitz Chaim Hi. Would you, on page 570, and Sandy, would you lead us? Eitz Chaim Hi lama chazikim ba v'tom ve'ameyusha
V'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh chadesh yameinu chadesh
yameinu kekeh. We continue, page 572, Chatzi Kaddish. If you can, please rise. Sandy, if you would.
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah v'yamad divrach l'rutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedechol bet Yisrael v'galav isman kari v'imru amen. Shmei rabbah mevarach li'olam u'lamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shmei Kedusha b'richu Leila minko berchata v'shirata Tushbachata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma Imru Amen.
We continue with the silent recitation of the Amidah, page 574, to its conclusion, and then we'll hear Sandy repeat it for us. Page 574, silently. Okay, we are ready. We repeat the Amidah at Kedusha. We rise and responsively follow. Sandy, please lead us.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot, U'Mevi Goel Livnei V'Neihem, L'man Shemo B'Ahava, Melchazer Ufakedu Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ufaked Sarah.
Amen.
Tagi bor le'olam Adonai, Machaye metim atarav lehoshia, Mechalkel chaim b'chesed, Machaye metim b'rachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofech olim umatir asurim, Mkayem emunato l'shenei afar, Milchamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech meimi, Machaye umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hametim.
Amen. 576, Kedusha. Kadeshim halalam, Shem Shemadeshim Adabeshmei Marog, HaKatul Yanecha, V'kazel Ze V'Amar.
Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kashem shemati shemota b'shmei marom, kakatuv hayad neviyecha, v'kara ze el ze v'yomar.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech haaretz kevodo, Le'umatam, Baruch Yameru.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech haaretz kevodo, Le'umatam, Baruch Yameru.
Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimkomo, Divrei Kodshecha, Katuv Le'emor.
Baruch kavod Adonai mimkamo, uv'divrei kodshecha katuv lemor.
Imloch Adonai Le'olam, Melech Tzion Ledor Vador, Hallelujah.
Yimloch Adonai le'olam, el Tzion l'dor vador, hallelujah. L'dor vador nagid gadlecha, u'netzach netzachim, kedushatcha nakdish, v'shivchacha henu mipinu le'yemesh le'olam va'ed, ki al melech gadol v'kadosh ata, baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
el hakadosh.
Amen. You may be seated. We continue 578.
אתה אחד ושמך אחד ומי כעמך ישראל ומי כעמך ישראל גוי אחד בארץ תפארת גדולה בעטרת ישועה יום מנוחה וקדושה לעמך נתת יום מנוחה וקדושה לעמך נתת אברהם יגל יצחק ירנן Yaakov uvanav yanuchavo, Yaakov uvanav yanuchavo, Nuchat ahava undava, Nuchat emet ve'emunah, Nuchat shalom v'shava, V'hashket va'vetach, Nuchat shlema chataretzeba, Yakiru vanecha v'yedu ki mitcha hi menuchatam, V'yamenuchatam, Yakdishu et shemecha, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, b'tzevim nuchatenu, kadshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tenchalkenu b'toratecha, sabenu mituvecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libenu le'avdecha be'emet, v'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu ba'ava uvratzon, Shabbat kadshecha, v'yanuchu v'Yisrael mekadshe shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Shabbat.
Amen.
Say Adonai Eloheinu b'amcha Yisrael v'tfilatam v'shevet havodah lidvir beitecha v'tfilatam b'ahava t'kabel b'ratzon v'tfila ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha v'kachazen einenu b'shuvcha l'tzion b'rachamim Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch
hamachzir
Shemo.
shechinato l'tzion
Amen. Modi.
v'tim anachnu lo shatunu.
That's a Rashid Muhammad.
Kilo chalu rachamecha, ramachem kilo tamil chasadecha me'olam, kivinu lach, V'al kulam yitbarach v'yitramam shemcha malkeinu tamid le'olam va'ed. V'chol ha'chaim yaducha selah, ya'alu et shemcha be'emet. Ha'el Yeshuatenu v'ezratenu selah. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shemcha l'chonai le'olam.
Amen.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha ve'al kol yoshvei tevel tasim li'olam ki atahu melech Adon l'chol hashalom v'tev beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael v'chol eit uv'chol shah b'shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai
Shema.
Amvarech et Amnei Yisrael b'shalom.
Amen. Kli Shalem, page 596.
Yikara v'yikara shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yom Divrach L'Yotei V'Yamlich Malchutei B'Chayechon V'Yamechon V'Chayedecho Beit Yisrael B'Galav B'Zman Kariv V'Yimeru.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach V'Yolam Lo Me'omaya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh V'Yithadar V'Yitaleh V'Yithalal Shemei Dekudesha Richu Le'la Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tishbachata v'nechamata damiram b'yoma v'imaru. Amen. Kikabel tzlodhon v'odhon d'chol Yisrael kadama v'hon divishmaya v'imaru. Amen. V'hei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imaru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav u'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imaru. Amen.
Aleinu l'shabeach
Ladon hakol latekedu liyotzer bereshit shelo asanu kigoye haratzot velo samanu kishbachot ha'adama shelo samchel kenu kahem v'goraleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim v'chodim Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'nemar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad Ushemo echad.
We recall our loved ones who are in our hearts, in our lives, in our very spirits and souls. Whose yortzeit is today, the 19th of Tammuz, Shabbat, July 11th, 2020, and are listed in our perpetual memorials at Chizuk Amuno. Hortense Amernick, Farida Blaker, David Brown, Isidore Cantor, Jesse Fox, Pauline Friedman, Rachel Glass, Jenny Hirschman, Selma Morel, Alexander Novi. Yehi Zichram Baruch. Yortzeit and Mourners, Kaddish, page 600. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'amad yivrach yirutei ve'amlich machutei, b'chayechon u'yamechon u'b'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'b'zman kariv v'imo amen, yehi shmei Rabbah, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלך ולעמים כל ברכתה
תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן ביומו ויאמרו אמן.
יהי שלמה
רבה משמיא
וחיים עלינו כל ישראל בנו אמן. עושה שלום ממולך, הוא יעשה שלום.
Aleinu v'yambo Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
David Rothenberg, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Arvit service, page 200? We rise as David comes forth and leads us, page 200.
Hang on. Yeah, but I'm not using the same book.
You don't have a... Okay, good enough, close enough.
Yeah. You're using Simchon full.
Oh, the big one?
No, the big one. All right. Behu rakum yechaper avon v'lo yashchit. Behir bal lahashiv hapo v'lo ya'ir kol chamato. Adonai Hashem el fianenu v'yom karenu. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Amvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach leolam va'ed.
May be seated.
Yomu maybe Laila Mafio Ben Yomu Ben Laila Nights about Ochimo. El Chai Kayam Tamidim Loch Alenu Lamba Baruch Adonai Ari Varadi.
Amen. Avat Olam B'Kisam Av Tatam Esodim Sheta. Nalaheinu B'Shavenu Kavenu Chal Tesimin Lo Adonai Avamod Yisrael.
Ayenu V'Yorachamenu V'Hem Nege Yomam V'Laila. Yavat Chal Tasir Mimenu Leolamim. Baruch Adonai
Shema.
O Yisrael.
Amen. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ah. David?
Easier to read this.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל נפשך ובכל מאוד.
והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ולכתך בדרך ושכבך וקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו תותפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Page 203. למען ירבו ימיכם ומבניכם על האדמה אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיכם לתת השמיים על הארץ. Page 204, David, lead us please.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר על בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ישוב לכם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף ותיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 204.
Vafi Tov Ratzon Kiblu Aleihem. Moshe Miriam Ubnei Yisrael Chanu Shira B'Simcha Rabba V'Amru Kulam.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש,
Kodesh. Torah Tehilot Osef Eleh. Malchutcha Ra'u Vanecha Bokei Yam Lifnei Moshe. Ve'eli Anu Ve'amru.
נעים לו לעולם.
נאמר כי פרעוני יעקב, שלום מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני,
ושמו,
ועל ישראל.
אמן.
השכיבנו אדוני.
Page 206. אני אדם לפניך. מוצאתנו.
ושמור צאתנו ואוהנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני.
ושמו.
ברמו ישראל לעד.
Amen. B'chanei l'olam, amen ve'amen. 206 in the middle. מסמך את המעשה שלנו, הגדול והחמדם. Page 209 at the box. Yamachut.
עמנו מלך לעתה, ברוך אתה אדוני.
Shema.
מלך לכבודו תמידים לך עלינו לעולם ועד, ועל כל מעשיו.
Amen. Kadal Rit Kadash. Amen.
עמד יברכי ותביאם לכלכתי, וחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, ועגלה בזמן קריב אמרו
אמן. יהי שמי רבם ברוך לעולם ולעלמיה.
נתברך וישתבח יתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא, יתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי בקודשה
ברכו.
ועלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, ושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
Amen. Silent Amidah, pages 210 to 220. Please remember to include at the top of 212 the first paragraph indented for Motzei Shabbat, the end of Shabbat, top of 212. David, whenever you're ready for Kaddish Shalem, that would be good.
Yikadav yikadak shnei rabba.
Amen.
Amadi brachu utev yomech matute. Hayechonu v'yomechonu chayei v'chol beit Yisrael. V'agalav yizman karivi meru.
Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam le'olam yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'pari v'ramam v'naseh. Yithadar v'dalev v'talal shemei dekudesha.
Grechu.
Lamin kol birchata v'shirata tushkuchata v'nechamata. Damiram v'yamavi meru.
Amen.
Abal tzloton v'adchon b'chol Yisrael kodam avon divishmaya v'yimeru.
Amen.
Rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru.
Amen.
Shalom b'mramavu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru.
Amen. We now turn to page 700 for the Havdalah, and we bless the coming week, and we pray and ask that God keep his right hand over us, as my mother would say, and watch over us. Please, God. Salvim Adonai Gotai Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Pri Hagafen Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Minei V'Samim Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Meorei Ha'esh Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Hamavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol Ben Or L'Choshev Ben Yisrael Ha'amim בין יום השביעי לששת ימי המעשה, ברוך אתה אדוני המבדיל בין קודש לחול, מבדיל בין קודש לחול, חטאותינו ימחול, זרעי וחספנו ירבה כחול, והכוכבים בלילה, שבוע טוב, שבוע טוב, שבוע טוב, שבוע טוב, הגות תבוך, שבוע טוב, אליהו הנביא, אליהו התשבי, אליהו הגלעדי במהרה בימינו, יבוא אלינו עם משיח בן דוד, אליהו הנביא, אליהו התשבי, אליהו הגלעדי. וכבן שטבוח, מזל פרנס הצלחה לחיים. 224 עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, לא עשינו כגויי הארצות ולא הוספנו משפחות האדמה.
שלא שמתנו כהם, לגור עלינו ככל המונם, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים,
לפני מלך המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
כי המלכות שלך היא ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. נאמר, אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We recall our loved ones for whom we say Kaddish today, the 20th of Tammuz, Sunday, July 12, 2020. The following names are listed in our perpetual memorials and in our hearts and our souls. Seymour Atman, Diana Bloom, Samuel Blumenfeld, Erwin Forsheimer, Marla Friedenwald, Elaine Goodman, Theodore Herzog. Yeah. Libby Levenstein, Otto Rosenberg, Rose Sharp, and we remember also Dorothy Rothenberg of blessed memory. Yortzeit and Mourners Kaddish, page 226. David, please lead us.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
ויעמוד יברח ירוקי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון ויומכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן.
Amen. יהי שמי עולם מבורך, לעולם עלמי.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, יתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו.
בריחו.
אלוהים כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה, ואמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
אמן.
שלמה רבה בן שמעיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you. Good Geben Shvoch, David. Wonderful to see you and hear you and leading davening. Ruth and family and Harry and your handsome son. What's his name?
That was Matthew. Jeremy and Joshua were also in the room, but they did not want to be on camera because they're in their relaxing mode.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. And so are we all. Sandy, thank you for beautiful davening and reading Torah. Where is, I don't see her. She must have left.
Randy, she left.
Randy Glassman left. Still amazing, absolutely amazing. And Ruth Ann, thank you for beautiful, perfect reading. To all of you, a sweet and wonderful week. Tomorrow morning at 9:30. And if you heard the darshan this morning at Chizuk Amuno, truly astonishing, beautifully put together and said, made me really jealous, which is how it should be. Please, God, watch over us and protect us and bring us joy for the days and the hours that is in our life. Please, when you drive, if you drive carefully. If you're at home, be doubly as careful, and give my warmest regards to all the ones we love and are with us today. Wish you a Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.